Earth declined to join the war until the wrong fleet fired the first shot. The sky above Earth was calm. Cities glimmered with lights, and the oceans reflected the stars like scattered diamonds. Life on Earth was busy, peaceful, and ordinary, compared to the chaos that had begun spreading across the galaxy. Humans had watched from a distance as distant civilizations went to war. Entire star systems were being destroyed over disputes nobody on Earth fully understood. On Earth, the United Nations Space Council had made a clear choice. They would not join any side. Humans had enough struggles of their own. Wars in faraway galaxies were not their concern. Commander Luke Harper, one of Earth's top space officers, stood on the observation deck of the orbital station Aurora Point. He looked out at the void, his arms crossed, and shook his head. "They don't understand peace," he muttered. "None of them do," replied Lieutenant Mia Turner, standing beside him. She was one of the youngest officers to command a vessel in Earth's defense fleet. Her eyes were bright and serious. "But if they pull their fight near us, that might change," Luke sighed. "That's the problem. We stay out and we hope they respect us. If they do—" His voice trailed off. Below them, Earth continued to grow. Its cities stretched farther, reaching for the sky, and new colonies in orbit were thriving. The human race had learned to cooperate, to explore, and to survive. But beyond the safety of their planets, danger loomed. News from the Galactic Council was troubling. The Andorians and the Zelari had been escalating their attacks for months, and entire fleets had been destroyed in violent skirmishes near the Zeta Quadrant. Earth's position was unique. Its technology was advanced but not as war-focused as the other civilizations. Humans were explorers, builders, negotiators, and thinkers. Most aliens underestimated them. The galaxy often overlooked Earth. This was exactly how the humans wanted it. But today, that calm was about to end. At the edge of the solar system, sensors detected an unknown fleet approaching fast. The fleet did not announce itself. It did not respond to hails. They moved like predators in the dark. Commander Harper's fingers hovered over the communication console. "Run identification scan," he ordered. Lieutenant Turner typed quickly, bringing up the fleet's signature. The readings came back and her eyes widened. "They're not Andorians. They're not Zelari either." "I've never seen this type of vessel before." Luke frowned. "Unknown fleet. Could be raiders, could be scouts. Keep monitoring. Do not engage unless they fire first. That is the Council's order." Meanwhile, on the bridge of one of the approaching ships, Captain Arlen Dax adjusted his uniform. His fleet had orders to patrol the outer borders of the galaxy, to enforce a peace treaty that the humans had no part in. But Arlen was impatient. His superiors wanted him to send a message of strength. He did not want negotiation, he wanted results. "Distance report," he barked. "Sir, we're near the Earth system," said his navigator. "Good. Let's remind them the galaxy doesn't wait," Arlen replied, a cruel smile forming. "Fire a warning shot. I want them to know we are here." Back on Earth, alarms began to sound. The unknown fleet had activated weapons. Laser pulses flashed across the void. "Red alert!" shouted Commander Harper. "All stations to defensive positions. Wait for confirmation before retaliating." The warning shots were not aimed to hit planets or stations. They were meant to intimidate, but the humans were not used to seeing weapons fired in space like this. Panic began to ripple through the communication channels. Citizens of Earth watched the skies from their windows as streaks of light cut across the heavens. Lieutenant Turner grabbed a panel. "Sir, they're moving too close. They might hit the orbital platforms." Luke Harper took a deep breath. "Hold your fire. Do not engage unless they actually attack us. This is still a warning, not a war." But then, one of the warning shots went slightly off course. It hit a satellite in orbit, and the explosion caused a chain reaction. Pieces of debris started to rain toward Earth's surface. "Impact in 20 seconds on the northern hemisphere," the sensor officer yelled. Luke slammed his fist on the console. "That's it. We didn't want this, but they forced our hand. Prepare to return fire." Mia Turner looked at him, eyes wide with shock. "Sir, are we ready to actually start a war?" Luke didn't answer. His hands moved over the controls. The humans had trained for years, but this was their first real test. Their fleets were small compared to galactic powers, but their ships were fast, clever, and built to think beyond brute force. "Engage defensive systems," Luke ordered. "Target the firing ships. Only disable, do not destroy unless necessary." The humans' first shots were precise. Energy beams struck the unknown fleet, causing their shields to flare and forcing the attackers to retreat slightly. Captain Arlen Dax's face turned red with anger. They fired back. "What is this? They have no right. Destroy them." But the humans were already maneuvering. They had no intention of starting a galactic war, but they would not allow anyone to threaten their home. The battle had begun without intent, all because of one fleet's mistake. On Earth, civilians watched the night sky transform. No one had expected war to arrive without warning. Children clutched their parents' hands. People prayed. Others simply stared, unable to comprehend the scale of what was happening above them. In the control room of Aurora Point, Luke Harper felt the weight of responsibility. "This is bigger than anything we imagined. We did not ask for war, but now it is here, and the galaxy will notice Earth." Lieutenant Turner placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sir, whatever happens, we'll protect our people. We always do." Luke nodded, but he knew it would not be enough. The humans were alone, outnumbered, and untested in true galactic warfare. Yet he also knew something else, something every alien underestimated. Humans could adapt. Humans could survive. Humans could fight in ways no one expected. As the unknown fleet regrouped, preparing for another strike, Earth's ships held their line. Star by star, planet by planet, humans had survived countless dangers on their own world. Now they would survive in the stars. Somewhere in the galaxy, other civilizations watched and whispered. A planet that had refused to join any war was firing back. And the first shot had not come from Earth, it had come from someone else's mistake. The Council on Earth called an emergency session. Leaders, scientists, and military officers crowded the communication halls. Every message from orbit and every report from the battlefield was streamed live. The humans had no choice but to act. "Luke," one of the council members said, "this could escalate. They could bring entire fleets to our system. Are we ready for that?" Luke's gaze remained fixed on the view of space. "We'll do what we have to. We won't be pawns. We won't be weak. And if the wrong fleet started this war, they will regret it." Outside, Earth's surface remained peaceful in appearance, but above it, the first real battle was unfolding. It was a battle the humans had not chosen, but one they could not ignore. And in the chaos of space, something was certain: Earth would not be forgotten. In the distance, other ships began to appear. Some were allies of the attackers, some were curious observers. Rumors of humans fighting back spread across the galaxy like wildfire. No one expected Earth to respond, and no one could predict what humans would do next. Commander Harper turned to his officers. "Prepare for anything. We are small, but we are smart. We are not just a planet, we are Earth, and we will fight for our home." Lieutenant Turner smiled faintly despite the tension. "Then let's show them what humans can do." And for the first time in decades, Earth's fleets moved not as observers but as participants. The war they had refused to join had come to them, and humanity was ready to answer. The stars around Earth glowed with energy, explosions, and movement. A small planet with a simple population had been forced into the vast theater of galactic conflict. And in that moment, a single truth became clear: humans were not weak. Humans would not bow. And the wrong fleet had just made a mistake it would never forget. The unknown fleet had regrouped. Their ships glided through space like shadows, surrounding Earth's orbit in a tight formation. Captain Arlen Dax's anger burned hotter than the engines on his vessels. Every moment without victory felt like failure, and he could not understand why humans had dared to fire back. On Aurora Point, Commander Luke Harper and Lieutenant Mia Turner monitored the fleet's movements. Sensors beeped constantly, showing the positions, speeds, and energy signatures of each ship. "They're coordinating," Mia said, her voice tense. "They're trying to box us in." Luke frowned. "We expected that. They think we'll panic, that we'll run, but we won't. Prepare the intercept drones and shields." The humans had trained for years for emergencies like this. Their fleets were small, but their technology was clever. Ships could split into smaller units and hide in asteroid fields. They could disable enemy vessels without destroying them, avoiding unnecessary escalation. "Sir," said Lieutenant Ravi Brooks, a communications officer, "the civilians on Earth are panicking. They're seeing explosions from orbit. Some want evacuation, some want to fight back." "We need a plan for them too," Luke nodded. "We will protect them, Ravi. Earth comes first, but our main priority is keeping this fleet from entering the planet's atmosphere." Far above, Arlen Dax made his next move. He activated his fleet's assault pattern, pushing several cruisers forward to force the humans into battle. "I want them cornered," he growled. "Once they are trapped, we crush them." But humans were not so easy to trap. Aurora Point sent out scout drones, scanning every corner of space for hidden threats. Smaller fighter ships, sleek and fast, darted out from Earth's orbital bases, striking and retreating before the enemy could react. Mia Turner directed one squadron of these fighters. "Follow my lead. Hit the shields, then pull back. Do not let them lock on. Keep moving." The first clash was quiet but deadly. A small human fighter zoomed between two enemy cruisers, releasing a pulse that disabled the energy shields of one ship. The cruiser glowed red as the engine sputtered. In seconds, it was forced to retreat. Luke Harper watched the fight unfold on the screens. "Good. Keep pressure on them, but do not destroy unless necessary. Show them humans are not easy targets." Captain Dax could not believe it. "How can a small planet like this fight back so well?" he shouted. "They're not just defending, they're attacking. Send the heavy units forward." As the battle escalated, Earth's population watched in awe. For the first time, they saw their own technology in action. Ships that had once served only for research and exploration were now weapons of survival. Humans realized they were stronger than they had imagined. In one orbital sector, a group of Earth's engineers had prepared a trap. They had rigged a field of magnetic mines, disguised to look like space debris. When the enemy cruisers passed through, the mines latched onto the hulls, causing confusion and slowing their advance. "Excellent work," Luke said, smiling. "Sometimes brains are stronger than brute force." Meanwhile, Captain Dax became more reckless. His attacks grew faster, more aggressive, and less coordinated. He assumed that humans would falter under pressure. He was wrong. Humans adapted quickly. When one plan failed, another emerged. Fighters moved in new formations. Shields were reinforced. Even civilian satellites were converted into auxiliary defenses. On the ground, Earth's leaders debated. President Laura Benson addressed the world in a live broadcast. "People of Earth, we face a threat unlike any we have known. But our planet is strong and our people are brave. Trust in our fleet, trust in each other. This is a fight to protect our home." The speech inspired courage. Citizens worked together, volunteering to help in orbital stations, supply lines, and communication hubs. Earth was not just a planet of observers anymore. It was a planet ready to act. Back in orbit, a young pilot named Jason Miller led a daring attack. He flew a small fighter through a narrow asteroid belt, evading enemy sensors. From there, he could reach the flagship of the unknown fleet. "Jason, that's too risky," Mia Turner called over the comms. "I know, ma'am," Jason replied calmly. "But if I can disable their engines even a little, it will give us an advantage." He fired a precise pulse that hit the flagship's drive core. Alarms blared on the enemy ship, and it began to drift. Other human ships took advantage of the chaos, striking weak points in the enemy formation. Captain Dax roared in frustration. "They're too clever, pull back, pull back." But it was too late. Humans had already gained the upper hand. The enemy fleet, confused and damaged, began to retreat from Earth's orbit. Luke Harper didn't celebrate yet. They may have retreated, but they will be back. Prepare defenses for reinforcements. And alert the Council. We need to know if this fleet is part of a larger war. Meanwhile, news of the human defense spread across the galaxy. Other civilizations that had underestimated Earth now watched carefully. Whispers of respect, curiosity, and fear began to circulate. Humans had shown they could fight, adapt, and survive. On the enemy side, Captain Dax faced scrutiny. His superiors demanded answers. How could a small planet resist an entire fleet? Dax had no good answer. For the first time, he felt the weight of underestimating an opponent. In the aftermath, Earth's fleet returned to Aurora Point. Ships had minor damages but no major losses. The humans were exhausted, but the sense of pride was undeniable. They had survived the first real battle in the stars. Mia Turner leaned against a console, breathing heavily. "I can't believe we did it." "They thought we'd be easy targets," Luke Harper nodded. "They made a mistake, but the galaxy will remember, and we have to be ready next time. This is only the beginning." In the coming days, humans studied the enemy fleet's tactics. Scientists analyzed weapon patterns. Engineers improved shields and engines. Pilots trained harder than ever. Every citizen in their own way contributed to the defense of Earth. Some people feared war, others embraced it, but all realized the same truth: humans were not powerless. Humans were clever, brave, and relentless, and if anyone tried to threaten Earth again, they would face the full force of a united planet. Even as the unknown fleet retreated to distant space, its members sent messages across their network. "The humans are dangerous. Underestimate them at your own risk." On Earth, Luke Harper gathered his officers. "We've won a battle, not a war. The galaxy thinks we are small and weak. They are wrong. We have one advantage, our people. We adapt, we survive, and we fight, and we will continue to do so." The officers nodded, their faces set with determination. Humans had learned a lesson today. They could no longer ignore the wars of the galaxy. Even if they wanted to stay out, the galaxy had decided to involve them. In the distance, the stars seemed to shine brighter. Earth's place in the universe had changed. The humans were no longer observers. They were participants, and the wrong fleet had made a mistake it would never forget. Night after night, the people of Earth looked up at the sky, knowing danger was real, but also knowing their planet was strong. Children dreamed not only of exploration but also of defending their home. Scientists planned new technologies, not just for research but for survival. Pilots trained for battles that might come at any time. Luke Harper walked alone on the observation deck, looking at the stars. "They thought they could scare us," he said softly. "They thought we'd be weak, but they were wrong. They always underestimate humans. And that is their mistake." Mia Turner joined him silently. "We have shown them a small part of what we can do. Next time they will see more," Luke nodded. "And when they do, the galaxy will learn that Earth is not just a planet, it is humanity." The battle had ended, but the story was far from over. Humans had taken their first step into the larger conflicts of the galaxy. They had survived, adapted, and fought with courage. And though the enemy fleet had fired the first shot, the humans had fired back with more than weapons. They had fired back with intelligence, bravery, and unity. And so, Earth's place in the galaxy was no longer quiet. The humans had arrived, and they were not to be ignored. Weeks had passed since the first clash in orbit. Earth's people had returned to a sense of normal life, but the memories of flashing lights, explosions, and fear lingered in everyone's mind. Commander Luke Harper and his officers knew that the battle was only the beginning. The enemy fleet would not forget Earth, and they would return stronger. On Aurora Point, Luke stood again at the observation deck, watching the stars. Lieutenant Mia Turner joined him quietly. "Sir, we've detected multiple unknown fleets moving through neighboring systems. They're not close yet, but they're heading in our direction." Luke frowned. "They are testing us. They want to see how far we can stretch before we break." "But humans have never broken under pressure," Mia nodded. "Do we have any idea how many ships there are?" "Too many to count right now," Luke replied. "But we have one advantage: they underestimate us. Every time they assume we will fall, we adapt and fight back. That is what keeps us alive." Far away, Captain Arlen Dax's superiors scolded him. "Your fleet could not contain a single planet," they said angrily. "Earth is not supposed to resist like this." "How is that possible?" Dax's anger boiled inside him. "I do not know," he admitted. "But they are clever. Their ships move differently. Their weapons strike with precision. I underestimated them, and it will not happen again." Back on Earth, preparations began. Scientists, engineers, and military officers worked tirelessly to strengthen defenses. Orbital stations were upgraded. Civilian ships were refitted to serve as support vessels. New fighter designs were tested, faster and more agile than anything in the galaxy. On Aurora Point, Luke addressed his officers. "The enemy will return, and they will bring more ships. We cannot fight alone, but we have something they cannot match: our people. Every scientist, every engineer, every pilot, even civilians, contributes to our defense. That is what makes humans unique. That is what makes us strong." Lieutenant Turner raised her hand. "Sir, there's another issue. Other civilizations are starting to notice our defenses. Some are curious, some are hostile. We might face more than just the fleet that attacked us." Luke nodded gravely. "Then we prepare for more. Humans do not wait for war to come to them. We meet it head-on." Meanwhile, in the outer systems, the enemy fleets gathered. Reports from scouts confirmed that humans had improved their defenses since the last encounter. Captain Dax's new orders were clear: they must overwhelm Earth before it becomes a larger problem. The enemy fleet advanced in a massive formation. Hundreds of ships moved as one, filling the void with engines and weapons. From orbit, Earth's fleet observed the approaching force. They were smaller in number, but each ship was designed for efficiency and cunning. Lieutenant Turner surveyed the holographic map. "Sir, they're trying to block all escape routes. They want to trap us completely." Luke nodded. "Then we give them a lesson they will not forget. Prepare all fleets. Activate intercept drones, defensive grids, and the new fighters. We fight smart, not just hard." As the enemy approached, humans did not wait. They launched a group of small, fast ships to disrupt the formation. The attack was coordinated, precise, and unexpected. Humans did not try to match the enemy's numbers. They used speed, intelligence, and deception to create confusion. Captain Arlen Dax was frustrated. "How can so few ships cause this much damage?" he shouted. "They should be crushed, not surviving." In the chaos, a young pilot named Sarah Holden took a daring mission. She led a small group of fighters directly through the center of the enemy formation. Using stealth drives, they avoided detection until the last moment. Then, with perfect timing, they fired pulse disruptors that disabled multiple enemy shields. "Excellent work," Luke said. "That is the way humans fight. Not by brute force alone, but by thinking ahead, by outsmarting the enemy." The enemy ships faltered. Confusion spread through their ranks. Communication was disrupted. Some ships accidentally collided, while others fled to avoid further damage. The humans' advantage was their creativity and ability to adapt quickly. On Earth's surface, people watched the events unfold on screens. Children, once frightened, cheered for the pilots in orbit. Civilians worked with engineers to repair damaged satellites, keeping the orbital defenses strong. Every citizen contributed in some way, proving that Earth was united. Captain Dax realized he underestimated humans again. They are not just fighting. They are planning, adjusting, predicting our moves. This is not like any other civilization we've faced. Meanwhile, Luke and his officers coordinated the battle from Aurora Point. Each move was calculated. Each attack was precise. Humans were not just surviving, they were controlling the fight. "Sir," Lieutenant Turner said, "the enemy is sending reinforcements. They are bringing a second fleet." Luke's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare for the next wave. Humans never give up. We adapt, we survive, and we fight. That is what makes us strong. That is what the galaxy does not understand about Earth." The second wave arrived faster than expected. Massive cruisers and frigates formed a blockade around Earth's orbit. At first, it seemed impossible to defend against such numbers, but humans had learned lessons from the first battle. Engineers had designed energy nets that could slow enemy ships. Pilots knew the terrain of asteroid belts and orbital debris better than anyone. Defensive drones moved like swarms, intercepting incoming fire before it could reach human vessels. In a daring plan, Luke ordered a simultaneous strike from multiple points. Smaller fighters attacked from unexpected directions while larger ships blocked the enemy's paths. Human ingenuity created chaos for the enemy, turning their strength into a weakness. Captain Dax could only watch in disbelief. They are too coordinated, they are too fast, they are unpredictable. Back on Earth, scientists made last-minute adjustments to defense grids. Civilians assisted by controlling auxiliary systems, rerouting power, and keeping communication lines open. Humans proved once again that strength was not only measured by weapons, but by unity and intelligence. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit the void. Shields flared and ships twisted through space, dodging, weaving, and striking. The humans never gave up, and slowly, the enemy began to falter. In the middle of the fight, a young engineer named Liam Carter noticed a weakness in the enemy fleet's formation. "Sir, if we hit here, we can disable their central command. It will break their coordination." Luke acted quickly. "Do it. Send in the strike team." A group of human fighters moved at top speed toward the target. Using a combination of stealth and precision weapons, they struck the enemy command vessel. Alarms blared. The fleet's formation collapsed. Ships collided, shields failed, and the enemy began retreating once more. Captain Dax could only retreat, nursing his pride and trying to regroup. "Earth is stronger than we thought," he admitted bitterly. "We underestimated them, and that is a mistake we will not make again." On Aurora Point, Luke and Mia watched as the last enemy ships fled. "We survived another day," Luke said, exhaustion in his voice. "But the galaxy will not forget us, and neither will we forget this lesson." Mia nodded. "Humans are not just fighters, sir. We are thinkers, planners, and survivors. That is what gives us an edge." Civilians on Earth celebrated cautiously. They knew the war was not over, but they had seen their planet withstand overwhelming odds. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the strongest enemies. In the following days, humans repaired damaged vessels, upgraded defenses, and prepared for future attacks. Scientists analyzed enemy technology, finding weaknesses that humans could exploit. Pilots trained harder, and civilians volunteered in every possible role. Luke addressed his officers. "Today, we showed the galaxy what humans can do, but this is just the beginning. Earth will not be a pawn in anyone's war. We will fight when necessary, and we will fight smart, and we will survive." The stars around Earth glimmered with renewed hope. Humans had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not through sheer force, but through intelligence, courage, and unity. The galaxy had noticed, and somewhere far away, Captain Dax began planning his next move, knowing that humans were no longer a planet to ignore. Earth had arrived in the wider war not by choice but by circumstance, and it had proven that humans were dangerous opponents. Luke Harper looked at the night sky, thinking of the battles to come. "They think Earth is small, weak, and defenseless. They are wrong. Humans adapt." Humans survive. Humans fight in ways no one expects, and that is our greatest strength." Mia Turner smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure they never forget it." And with that, Earth prepared for the next wave, ready to face the galaxy with courage, intelligence, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The victory over the second enemy fleet had given Earth a sense of confidence, but Commander Luke Harper knew it was only temporary. The galaxy was vast and many civilizations did not forget easily. Reports showed that other fleets, larger and more organized, were moving toward the solar system. On Aurora Point, Luke stood with his officers, studying the incoming reports. "They've learned about our tactics. They will not make the same mistakes again. We need new strategies," he said. Lieutenant Mia Turner nodded. "Sir, the Council wants to know if we should strike first this time. They fear waiting may let them gain the advantage." Luke shook his head. "We do not start wars. But we will defend ourselves. That is enough. We fight only when necessary, and we do it smartly." Meanwhile, scientists and engineers worked non-stop. Orbital stations were upgraded with new energy shields, faster communication arrays, and automated defense drones. Earth's fighters were improved with enhanced engines, stronger weapons, and adaptive shields. Every citizen who could contribute did so, knowing that the survival of their planet depended on everyone working together. A young engineer, Alina Pierce, adjusted a small energy grid on one of the orbital platforms. "These new shields can withstand hits from ships twice the size of ours," she said to her assistant. "If we coordinate power flow, they can regenerate faster than the enemy can attack." Her assistant, Caleb White, nodded. "That's brilliant. It might be enough to hold them off when the larger fleets arrive." In the meantime, scouts reported unusual activity near the asteroid belt beyond Mars. Luke reviewed the data carefully. "Enemy ships are gathering there, but there's something different. They're not just coming for Earth. They're forming a blockade trying to trap the entire system." Mia Turner frowned. "That's clever. If they control the belt, we have limited maneuvering space. They could cut off all escape routes." Luke tapped a console. "Then we create distractions. Smaller squads will strike in different directions, forcing them to divide their forces. We make them fight on multiple fronts." The plan was risky, but humans had learned that risk could be managed with clever tactics. Far away, Captain Arlen Dax observed the preparations from a safe distance. He had been reassigned to supervise a combined fleet, hundreds of ships strong. "These humans think they can hold us off," he said bitterly. "They are clever, but they are still a single planet. We will overwhelm them this time." Back on Earth, civilians watched the skies with a mix of fear and hope. Schools were closed, and citizens were instructed to assist in logistics, repairs, and supply lines. Even families volunteered, knowing that everyone's effort could make a difference. Luke Harper addressed the officers on Aurora Point. "The enemy is coming. They will test our defenses, try to find weaknesses, and force mistakes. But we do not panic. We do not give up. We adapt, we fight, and we survive. That is what humans do." The first wave of the larger enemy fleet entered the outer solar system. Massive cruisers, frigates, and warships moved in tight formations, their energy shields glowing like distant stars. From orbit, the humans could see them clearly, yet they did not falter. "Deploy intercept drones," Luke ordered. "Launch fighters in pairs, hit the flanks, then retreat. Keep them guessing." Young pilot Jason Miller led the first squadron. He flew through narrow asteroid fields, avoiding enemy sensors and using the terrain to strike unexpectedly. His squad fired at energy conduits and shield generators, creating confusion among the enemy fleet. Captain Dax shouted at his officers, "They are too clever. Focus fire on the flanking ships." But the humans had planned for this. Another squadron, led by pilot Amelia Hayes, used rapid maneuvers to block the main fleet's path. Drones intercepted enemy fire and small missiles disabled key engines. On Aurora Point, Luke and Mia coordinated every strike. "Remember," Luke said, "we do not need to destroy every ship. We need to survive, to make them waste resources, and to show the galaxy that Earth is not weak." The enemy fleet became frustrated. Ships collided accidentally, shields faltered, and commanders struggled to maintain order. Humans, smaller in number but smarter in tactics, turned every advantage into a trap. Meanwhile, on the surface of Earth, scientists monitored debris fields from previous battles. Liam Carter and Alina Pierce worked together, designing automated drones that could repair damage in orbit and redirect enemy fire. Their work ensured that Earth's defenses could sustain long-term attacks. As the battle continued, a new problem arose. A section of the enemy fleet had found a weak point in the asteroid field near Jupiter's orbit. If they advanced, they could threaten Earth directly. Luke Harper made a decision. "We cannot allow them to reach that point. Prepare the covert strike team. They will intercept the enemy before they can advance." The covert strike team was made up of elite pilots who had trained for months. They flew small, fast ships, capable of slipping past enemy sensors and striking precise targets. Among them was pilot Sarah Holden, who had already distinguished herself in previous battles. "Remember," Luke said, addressing the team, "we strike quickly and disappear. Do not engage unless necessary. Our goal is to delay and disrupt. We cannot afford losses now." The strike team moved silently through space. Using stealth drives and careful navigation, they reached the enemy's weak point undetected. In coordinated attacks, they disabled engines, disrupted communications, and forced several ships to retreat. Captain Dax could not believe it. "How can they be everywhere at once? This is impossible," he shouted. Luke Harper, observing the success from Aurora Point, smiled slightly. "It is simple," he said to Mia. "Humans are not predictable. We adapt, we plan, and we think ahead. That is why we survive." With the enemy temporarily delayed, humans used the opportunity to strengthen orbital defenses. Energy shields were expanded, drones positioned in strategic locations, and fighters placed in ambush points. Earth had turned its solar system into a fortress, using intelligence and planning rather than sheer force. Days passed, and the enemy regrouped, sending a larger force toward Earth. This time, however, they were met with a planet prepared for war. Humans had learned from every engagement, adjusting tactics and creating traps for the enemy. In one daring move, young pilot Jason Miller led a squadron through Saturn's rings, using the ice and debris to hide movements. They struck enemy engines and shields, forcing the fleet to scatter. Amelia Hayes led another squadron in a high-speed assault on cruisers near Mars, disabling key systems. On Aurora Point, Luke watched every movement. "They think numbers will win," he said. "But humans fight differently. They think, they adapt, and they never give up. That is our greatest weapon." Meanwhile, civilians continued their support. Communications officers, engineers, and scientists coordinated repairs, relayed information, and assisted pilots with real-time data. Earth's population had become part of the defense network, proving that unity and intelligence could overcome overwhelming odds. Captain Dax, now desperate, called for a full assault. His fleet moved as one, trying to crush Earth's defenses with superior numbers. But humans were ready. Every attack was predicted, every weakness exploited. The enemy's larger fleet became vulnerable, as small human units struck unexpectedly, disabling weapons and engines. In a final daring operation, Sarah Holden led the covert strike team directly to the flagship of the enemy fleet. Using precise targeting, they disabled key systems and forced the fleet to retreat. Captain Dax had no choice but to fall back, nursing his losses and humiliation. On Aurora Point, Luke Harper addressed his officers. "We have won another day, but this is not the end. The galaxy is watching. Earth is no longer a quiet planet. We have shown that humans are clever, brave, and united. That is how we survive. That is how we fight." Civilians on Earth cheered cautiously. They had seen their planet withstand attacks from fleets much larger than theirs. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the strongest enemies. As night fell, Luke Harper walked on the observation deck, looking at the stars. "They will return," he said softly, "but they will never underestimate us again. And that is the advantage humans always have. They are never predictable and they never give up." Mia Turner joined him. "The galaxy is starting to notice, sir. Other civilizations will think twice before attacking Earth." Luke nodded. "Good. Let them watch. Let them underestimate us. They will learn eventually that humans are not a planet to fearlessly challenge. We survive, we adapt, and we fight. And that is what makes Earth strong." The stars above Earth seemed brighter that night. Humans had survived another wave of attacks. They had turned intelligence, strategy, and unity into weapons more powerful than any fleet. The galaxy was learning a new lesson. Earth was no longer quiet. Humans had arrived, and they were ready to defend their home against any threat. The galaxy had taken notice. Earth was no longer a quiet observer, no longer a planet to ignore. After weeks of battles, intelligence, and preparation, humans had proven that they could survive against fleets far larger and stronger than their own. Yet Commander Luke Harper knew this was only the beginning. The enemy would return, and this time they would bring everything they had. On Aurora Point, Luke studied the incoming reports with Lieutenant Mia Turner and his officers. Scouts show that multiple fleets are converging on the solar system. "This is the largest force we've seen," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "They think they can crush us with sheer numbers. Let's show them humans are more than numbers." Mia nodded. "Sir, civilians are ready to assist. Factories are producing drones, engineers are reinforcing orbital defenses, and pilots are training nonstop. Earth is prepared as much as possible." Luke took a deep breath. "Good. Then let's make sure they know what it means to attack Earth." Far away, Captain Arlen Dax coordinated the massive fleets. Hundreds of cruisers, frigates, and warships moved in formation. His fleet was the largest he had ever commanded, and he intended to crush the humans once and for all. "They have been clever," Dax admitted bitterly. "But numbers will win. They cannot fight all of this." Back on Earth, Luke convened a meeting of his top officers. "This is not just a fight for survival. This is a fight for recognition. The galaxy believes humans are weak. We will prove them wrong. Every ship, every drone, every person must contribute. We fight together and we fight smart." Lieutenant Turner pointed to the holographic display. "The enemy intends to split into 3 waves. If we hold 2, we can isolate the third. If we coordinate properly, we can strike at their command ships and force a retreat." Luke smiled faintly. "Exactly. They rely on coordination and overwhelming numbers. We rely on adaptability and unity. That is the difference." The first wave arrived near Jupiter's orbit. Humans had prepared a series of energy nets, mines disguised as asteroids and decoy ships. As the enemy advanced, several cruisers became trapped in the nets, slowing their advance. Fighter squadrons darted in and out, striking weak points, then retreating before the enemy could retaliate. Captain Dax's officers were frustrated. "They are using terrain and traps. They should not survive this." "They are humans," Dax growled. "They survive in ways we cannot understand." Meanwhile, young pilot Jason Miller led a daring mission. He navigated a squadron through Saturn's rings, using ice and debris to hide their movements. In perfect synchronization, they struck the engines of several cruisers, forcing the enemy to scatter. On Aurora Point, Luke coordinated every strike. "We are not just defending. We are controlling the battle. Make every move count. Protect the planet, but make the enemy pay for every attempt to harm us." As the first wave fell into chaos, the second wave approached from the outer solar system. These ships were larger, more heavily armed, and more aggressive. but humans were ready. Lieutenant Mia Turner organized the fighters. We divide them into small squads, use hit-and-run tactics, force them to split forces and isolate command vessels. We cannot destroy all, but we can disrupt their coordination. The second wave met the same tactics. Energy nets trapped several ships. Drones intercepted fire. Fighters struck in unexpected directions. The humans' ability to adapt and coordinate outmatched the enemy's brute force. On Earth, civilians contributed to the effort. Scientists repaired orbital systems, engineers rerouted power, and communication officers relayed critical information to pilots in real time. Even people on the surface monitored asteroid paths and assisted in calculations for defensive measures. Every person became part of the defense. In a daring maneuver, Sarah Holden and the covert strike team infiltrated the heart of the enemy's formation. Using stealth drives, they reached the command ship. Precision strikes disabled weapons systems and engines, leaving the fleet disorganized. Captain Dax shouted in disbelief. How can so few cause so much chaos? They are not just surviving, they are controlling the battle. Luke Harper watched the success from Aurora Point. Humans adapt, humans survive, humans fight in ways no one expects. That is why we endure. The enemy fleets, now disorganized and struggling, began to retreat. Their attacks became chaotic and small mistakes multiplied into critical failures. Humans had turned every advantage, no matter how small, into a weapon. Back on Earth, President Laura Benson addressed the world. People of Earth, today we have survived another attack. We have proven that humans are brave, intelligent, and united. Our planet is no longer quiet. We stand strong, and together we will continue to protect our home. Civilians cheered, but they remained vigilant. They knew the war was not over. More fleets might arrive and the galaxy would test Earth again. But the victory was a message. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, resourceful, and unstoppable when united. Captain Jason Miller returned from his mission. "Sir, the enemy is retreating, but they will come back," he said. Luke nodded. "We know that. But every time they return, they will face the full strength of a united planet. They will remember that humans are not easy targets. That is our advantage." As the enemy fleet withdrew, Luke convened his officers. "We have survived this largest attack so far. But we cannot stop preparing. The galaxy will watch Earth now. Some may respect us, others may challenge us. Our mission remains the same: protect our people, survive, and fight smart." Mia Turner looked at the council. "Sir, other civilizations are contacting us. They want to negotiate or form alliances. Earth is now on the map. We must choose carefully who we trust." Luke nodded. "Yes, but remember, humans do not need to join every war. We choose when and how to act. That is what keeps us alive." On Aurora Point, engineers monitored repairs and upgrades. Fighters were refueled, drones reprogrammed, and shields reinforced. Every vessel that could fly would be ready if another wave came. In space, scouts reported scattered remnants of the enemy fleet. They were damaged, disorganized, and demoralized. Humans had shown them that numbers alone could not defeat intelligence, courage, and unity. Captain Dax regrouped his remaining ships far from the solar system. He realized that Earth was not a planet to challenge lightly. "They are dangerous," he admitted. "We underestimated them, and that is a mistake we will never make again." On Earth, children looked at the stars and dreamed of the future. Scientists planned new technologies, not just for exploration, but for defense. Pilots trained for battles that could come at any moment. Civilians worked in every role to ensure the planet's safety. Luke Harper walked on the observation deck at night, looking at the glowing stars. "The galaxy has seen what humans can do," he said softly. "We were forced into this fight. We did not start it, but we survived. We adapted, and we fought with intelligence, courage, and unity. That is the power of humanity." Mia Turner joined him. "Sir, the galaxy will never see Earth the same way again." Other civilizations will think twice before attacking us. Luke smiled. Good, let them watch. Let them underestimate us. They will learn eventually. Humans survive because we adapt. Humans survive because we never give up. And humans survive because we fight together. The stars above Earth seemed brighter than ever. Humans had proven that courage and intelligence could overcome even the most powerful enemy. The galaxy now knew that Earth was not a quiet planet. Humans were strong, clever, and united. As night fell across the planet, Earth was calm again, but the people were ready. They had faced overwhelming odds and survived. They had learned that unity, strategy, and courage were more powerful than any fleet. The galaxy had made the mistake of underestimating humanity. Luke Harper looked at the horizon. They will return someday, but we will be ready. We always are. Humans do not bow. Humans do not fear. Humans fight, and that is why we survive. Mia Turner smiled. And when they return, we will show them even more. Earth had faced war without asking for it. It had adapted, survived, and fought with intelligence and unity. The wrong fleet had fired the first shot, but humanity had fired back with more than weapons. They had fired back with courage, strategy, and an unbreakable spirit. The galaxy would remember Earth, and humans had made sure of it.